that would work on you. They want to make sure that you have everything it takes for you to be able to deliver what you need to deliver. But as a project manager, there are tools that you need to use to be able to keep the program management office happy. So they will be expecting some of those things. And we've spoken about framework. Part of the things that we've spoken about in framework is we've talked about agile, we've talked about waterfall, we've talked about the difference between them. I believe everybody's happy with that. If you're not happy with that, let me know. Um, and we've talked about the umbrella of agile, we've talked about the mindset of agile, we've talked about doing agile and being agile, and I believe everybody should be comfortable with that. Then we went into the one aspect of agile. We spoke about Scrum. We spoke a little bit about Kanban, but we spoke about Scrum, and we talked about different pillars of Scrum. Is that clear, everybody? All right. So now coming into agile project management role, or your role as an ADM, that's where we got into the 10 knowledge areas, and that's what brought us into where we are. So on the 10 knowledge areas, we spoke about integration management, scope management, time management, cost management. So last Tuesday, we spoke about the stakeholder management. And that's what took us into the organogram that you're working on and the matrix that you worked on today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if that's very clear to everybody, then I'm happy. And from there, we would then want you to see that the program office, though, these are the people you must keep happy. Your program manager has role over you as a project manager. That's in waterfall setting. When we talk about agile, being a delivery manager, you stand in that position of either a project manager, or if you're a delivery lead, you stand in the position of a program manager. You can't have a delivery lead and be saying you have a program manager as well. All right. And in some government settings, as I said, they don't actually use Scrum Masters anymore. They use delivery manager. Why do they do that? Because they want they want people that will do more than just moving tickets and only just organizing ceremonies. They want somebody that would be able to participate from the beginning of the product till the end of it and be able to plan, including for resources. And not only to plan for doing the product, but even for the release of it as well. And that's where the work of an ADM comes in. So with that, if we're going to go through the cycle of either agile project management or traditional project management, there are three important tools that we need to be aware of, which we've spoken: the approach, the control, and the reporting. These are three critical areas that you need to keep your stakeholders happy with. The framework, that's that of the methodology. You could choose a framework to say, we're going to do Agile. In Agile, then what part of Agile, what methodology in Agile are you opting for? Scrum, Kanban, XP, DAD, SAFe, which one are you going for? And some of those things are actually frameworks on their own. Then we talk about the governance. And you're all going to work on governance. Each of these things we will work on. Some of these we would remove. Whatever is relevant to you, we'll keep it. Whatever is not relevant, we'll take it out. This is just a guide. So when we talk about the governance, we want to know who is who. And that's part of the reason I gave you that example and the homework on the organogram. Who is the portfolio manager? Who is the delivery manager? Who is the Scrum Master? What are their details? And how are we going to run this project? Those are things you're going to find in governance. Is this clear, everybody?
Yeah.
When people come on your page, when they come on your, I know that you use Azure DevOps, right? I think I will need to know where you keep your documentation. Everything that you have done, everything you've presented to me, I want to see it on your page. And what I would want you guys to do is to create a nice page where you have your governance, where anybody coming from anywhere can know what is happening within your project and who is who within your project. Okay? So in the controlling section of it, when we work in Waterfall, you will find the element of business case. But these days, people don't really look into that anymore. You find more of project charter. Does that mean we don't do business case? We still do that for programs. And why is it possible? Why is it important? Why is business case important, guys?
It helps to determine viability of a project and how it can benefit the company.
Yes, the viability of a project. I hope that's clear to everybody. When you say viability, does that make sense to everybody? Or you try and break it down. What do you mean by viability?
Sustainability.
No. Viability doesn't mean sustainability. What does it mean? Viability in the context of business case, pardon?
I'm trying to break it, viability.
You are saying the same word?
Yeah, I know.
So in the context of business case, what we're saying is justifiable reason for the project or for that program. Normally, business case will be drawn up for a program, except the project is a standalone project and is huge. When it's huge, then it's a program because it would have related dependent projects within it. So when we talk of business case, we're talking of, do we have a worthwhile reason for doing this project? And don't forget, we learned on Tuesday different reasons why project is started, why organizations would choose to start projects. Do we all remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, apart from Isaac that has been talking, who can tell me 3 out of the reasons that I gave on Tuesday? 3 out of the reasons why we start projects.
To solve a need.
It's still Isaac talking, or who is it?
Oluyinka.
Oluyinka, yes. Thank you. To solve a need, what need? What need? To solve a need is very vague, isn't it?
Yeah.
What need are you talking about?
That could be, I'm just trying to, that if the company notices there's a particular need out there there's a particular problem to resolve regarding a certain case or something, then project comes in to resolve that. To solve the need of the society or something.
Okay.
To retain, hello, Femi, to retain customer loyalty.
Fantastic. We spoke about you can start a project because you want customer retention or loyalty. You want to do something that will make them. I understand what you're trying to say, Oluyinka, but it's a little bit vague. I just want you to add a little bit more, life to it so that we can know that the reason is truly viable. All right. Any other reason?
To compete with their competitors.
Yes.
To
not to compete, but
profits.
to beat competition. We want to beat competition. Because of that, we can start a project. Yes, because we want to maximize profit, we can start a project. Because every businessman invests to make money. isn't it? What other reason?
To go into digital transformation, more like digital
Well,
transformation.
the process to do some of this thing would be digital transformation many times.
Yes,
You remember I taught you what digital transformation is, right?
yes, you did.
I gave you an example with Facebook. What happened to Facebook? Do you remember that? For those of you that were around. What did I say about Facebook?
They got fined
They were fined.
Why were they fined?
because they failed compliance. GDPR.
Exactly. So what did I say? And I said that we start projects many times for compliance purposes because we don't want to be fined. We don't want penalty. We don't want heavy penalty. No company will want to pay $5 billion for penalty. Facebook faced that. Just last year or 2 years ago, Facebook faced another 1.2 billion or 1.23 billion fine. That's a lot of money, right? So that's why it's important that we have companies will start projects and they wouldn't mind to pay you what they are paying you because one, they need to beat competition. They also need to make sure that they can maximize profits. Not only that, they want customer loyalty. They want to retain their customer. Now they don't want to lose, and there are so many other reasons. They want to streamline processes. They want to save money. They want to save costs. If you go to bank now, before, when you go to banks, you see many cashiers, right? Do you see many cashiers in banks anymore?
No.
No,
So what do we see now when we go to banks? What do we see now?
self-checkouts or machines or
Yes, not just in banks, even when you go to stores.
yeah,
Go to
self-checkout.
Asda, go to Morrison's, go to Waitrose, go to Sainsbury's, all of them. Wherever you go now, you find that the checkout machine is there for you. In fact, some would only keep 1 or 2 checkout cashiers. Because machines is doing everything. And if you go to China now, it's worse. In some places in China, you wouldn't even see any human being doing anything. And I'm sure most of you would have seen the one that Amazon is doing as well. With the one of Amazon, you don't even need to do anything. Just get in the store. As you're getting in the store, they've taken things about you. You can't steal because you'll be caught. But you won't have anybody, maybe chasing you around or looking all over. So you understand what I'm saying? Some of these things are reasons that we would see that they are justifiable reasons to start projects. And you may in Agile, we don't really do much of business case. You'll find that for your product or for your project specifically, there will be project charter. You need it as an ADM because that's what is going to help you to be able to know what good looks like, what expectations are for that product. And then we talked about on the controlling side. Yes.
Sorry, Femi. Is
Yes,
Project
please.
Charter the same as Team Charter, please?
Yes, some call it, no. Project
Okay.
charter is not team charter. There's what we call teams agreements.
Okay.
There's what we call teams ways of working. When you say teams charter many times is what you guys have agreed together within the team, how your team should be run. Does that make sense?
Yes.
For example, you can say in our team charter, you might want to put there that this is what good user story looks like. Oh, this is how we want to be having our meetings. Oh, we'll be having 1 hour of refinement every week or 2 hours of refinement every week. We're going to allocate 5 minutes to each user story. Once you've read the those are things you find in Teams ways of working or Teams charter. But when we talk of project charter itself is talking about the product and end-to-end delivery of that product, including the budget that you have for that project. And your project charter is a working document. It's not something you just do once and that's it. It's a working document. If any alteration, if any changes come, you want to make sure you capture it in your project charter. So we need to know all of this. Then part of the ones we've started, part of stakeholder analysis. We talked about the matrix, right? Last week, we started to analyze our stakeholder. It's important as an agent that you have your stakeholders captured with their email addresses, possibly with their phone numbers. And then we can talk about communication. You don't need to do all of this, but this is just a guide, as I said. So these are things you find in your controlling toolkit. All right. Now, the third one of that in the PMO toolkit is the reporting one. And this is where you find in Agile, how do we do our reports? In Agile, how do we do our reports?
Board.
Hello? I'm waiting.
Can you hear me?
Pardon?
I said we report via the board.
Via the board. Okay, how? Board.
We do a status report, more like.
Status report. So how do you do status report?
So we can use graphical representations like burn down chart, burn up chart, velocity, etc.
Okay. So
Is the PowerPoint?
you can use what would your burn down chart help you to understand?
How quickly the team is completing or getting tasks done.
Not exactly.
It gives us an overview of what's been done in the project, what is left, the capacity, the estimation, and all that. So it gives us an overview of what the backlog and everything about the project.
Not
What
exactly.
has been done and
Thank
what
you. You've tried.
Okay.
Can I try again?
Yes, go for it.
So it's a graphical representation.
Mhm.
How the team is progressing through the user stories on the board.
Okay.
Stories on the board.
Yes. It's a graphical representation of not just how the team is delivering based on the commitment that they've made for any particular sprint. You are looking at the time with the workload that is left. Does this make sense, guys? When we talk of burn down chart is looking at, for example, you have committed yourself to deliver 20 things in 10 days. 20 things in 10 days. And on the 5th day, you have only delivered 3 out of 20 things. Are you doing well?
No.
Burn down chart shows this for us graphically. Helps us to know, guys, the way you are delivering, I'm afraid. And that's why you'll see, can you please mute yourself if you are not talking? Please mute yourself. And that's why you'll see the zigzag, because it's meant to follow the curve that is there. All right? So, and that's why you see some people, when you look at their burn down chart, you will see that sometimes they remove work. They add work to it. They take things out. Sometimes they don't update the board. And you see it go straight line and jump down at the end. And some of them would just go zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. He's warning us of something. So in reporting, when we talk of agile, especially when you are in Scrum, you have the sprint report. The sprint report helps you to know how many user stories you guys have committed to, how many of those user stories you have delivered. It also helps you, if you calculate your velocity well, it helps you to be able to know the speed at which your team is delivering. How do you calculate velocity, guys? How do you calculate velocity? They are not talking. Okay, I think you're all tired. It's 11 o'clock. Let's close here. When you are awake, maybe on Tuesday, you'll come back and I'll talk to all of you, right?
Sorry, Femi, I was trying to mute my mic.
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay,
How do you calculate velocity?
So it's just the amount of backlog items or the stories that were delivered as per the sprint in question. So, for instance, sprint Amazon, which we just finished last week, Sunday. So, if you want to calculate the velocity, it's how many user stories or product backlog items have we been able to deliver based on the sprints that we had. Is that it, sir?
Okay, you've tried, but not exactly. How do you calculate velocity, guys? Thank you, Isaac. How do you calculate velocity? Hello?
It's dividing the total story points completed by the team by the number of sprints that were actually completed by them.
How do you mean number of sprints? Okay. When we talk of velocity, we don't just do velocity based on one sprint. We do velocity based on pattern. Isaac, we do velocity. We don't want to do velocity just because you have not completed a sprint and we say that's your velocity. No. We want to do velocity based on pattern. Some will use 3 concluded sprints. Some will use 5 concluded sprints. People want to see the pattern at which this team has been working for the past 3 sprints or for the past 5 sprints. Is this clear, everybody?
Yeah.
Sorry, Femi, do you want to say that again, please? Sorry.
Okay. We use pattern. We want to measure, we want to see the pattern at which you have been delivering in the past sprints. Let's say the last 3 sprints or the last 5 sprints. And that's why we will calculate the story points that you have delivered 3 sprints ago, 2 sprints ago, and this sprint that makes the 3rd sprint that has finished. We will count those story points that your team has delivered, and we will divide it by 3. And if you are looking at 5 sprints before, then you count those story points together, you divide it by 5. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that's clear now.
Yes, please.
So this is part.
Femi, sorry, just to ask. So you're saying velocity is like you look at the full number of stories that you're supposed to complete for the whole project, and then you
No, not for
Okay.
the whole project.
right.
No. We look at pattern. Velocity helps us to be able to predict the rates at which the team is delivering work based on the work they are doing. We want to be able to measure the rates at which they are delivering. And that's why you cannot just measure the rate at which somebody is delivering based on what that person has just done now. It's a retrospective thing. We look back. Do you get it now? We look back to say 3 sprints ago, 5 sprints ago. And that's why even when you are in school, they talk about data. For some people, they will say, oh, last semester, it did very well. 3 semesters ago, it did very well. This semester is not performing as it should. Something must be wrong, right? When they put your grade together, they calculate the grade all together to give you a figure in the year, isn't it? That's what we do when it comes to, because Scrum is empirical in nature. Does this make sense?
Yes, please.
So these are things that you want to be represented in your report, in your sprint report. You want to be able to say, we committed to this. We said we were going to deliver 20 stories, 20 user stories, and 20 user stories is equal to XYZ story points. We took out 3 because this happened, these are all. We didn't take out any, we delivered everything. Or we were only able to deliver 5 out of it. But as an ADM, it's important that you are able to give the narration to it. You've got to be able to let us know what happened. And that's why you need the report to keep your stakeholders happy. That's what they mean when they ask you for visibility. They don't want it to be something that you'll be telling them much later when things have gone sour. You've got to carry them along from the beginning. So we have what we call issue report. If there are issues, now what we normally do in Agile, you capture that together in your report. You just add it as maybe as a page where you do your risk analysis and you do, if there's any risk, you capture it there. If you have issues, you capture it there. And if there's anything that you want to highlight, you want to capture it there. But in Waterfall, all of this gets broken down and they make it massive documents. So that's why we talk about Agile not wanting heavy documentation. It's not that we don't do documentation in Agile. It's just that we're not looking for heavy documentation. Is this helpful?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think I'm going to stop here tonight. We'll catch up on Tuesday so that the rest of you will be here. But what I want you to do, the work that I've given you to do, please make sure you do it. And I'm going to add your governance to it. You need to create a governance for your project. Governance, the document, like I said. And I'm going to ask that I would want to even see it after you've presented it to me, you should be able to transfer it on your page. Are you going to be able to do that, guys?
Yeah, sure. We're talking about documents like the RISI matrix, the WBS project communications plan, etc.
In governance, you don't really need your work breakdown structure. You really don't need that.
Okay.
When we talk of governance, I'm not talking of PID.
Okay.
PID is your project initiation document, right?
Yeah.
That's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking of the governance in your project. Okay?
Okay.
Because that's what empowers you to be able to do your roles. That's what says who you are within the project. I want to know who is who within your project.
Okay, that's the organogram, yeah?
Yeah, the structure, the people, the information about them. All right?
All right. That's
Femi,
fine.
I've got a question, please.
Please go for it.
So our last sprint report for our sprints, I think it was sprint 1 or sprint 2, I can't remember. I think it's sprint 1, yeah. One of the things that we did was populate the Azure board and use some of that in the sprint report. Is that also part of because you worked out things like velocity and things like that? Is that still a good way of reporting? Because you were talking about status reporting and things like that. Is that still a good way using tools such as Azure, Microsoft Azure, or Jira? Is that also a good way of reporting?
Yeah. In Agile, yes, that's good. Yes. Yes. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
So I
Femi,
want it to be tailored to your organization's specific needs, to your project needs. In your governance, it's important to know who is who. Your sponsor. Who is the sponsor of your project? Who is the product owner? Things like that, documented. Their contact details. It's important that you have it. All right? Please, somebody wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to confirm what homework, if you could please just clarify the piece of work we had to do for homework, please.
Yeah, the piece of work you have to do, you have to, like Isaac worked on the matrix. You all need to work on that together as a team. You need to meet together as a team, and you need to be able, some of the feedback that I've given to Isaac tonight, you need to all think together, incorporate it. You need to draw up your organo chart. And after you've done that, you need to document your governance for me, for your project, for whatever project you have been assigned to. Is that okay now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so can we call it a night?
All right, that's fine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good evening.
Femi, can I just talk to you after everybody's gone?
Yes, please. That's fine. Who is that? Is that Oluyinka?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Apologies,
I'll wait.
guys. Sorry, let me stop it. Sorry.